Good Wednesday morning. When I looked ahead, I thought today might be a little bit of a slower day. When I was thinking back on Monday, we got Sunday, obviously, with the Giants. You talk about that on Monday. Tuesday, you talk about the Jet game. And say things will be a little bit slower on Wednesday. No way, no how with what happened in New York sports yesterday. And we will talk about the Yankees and Brian Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner coming up in about an hour as Brian Cashman gives the most uncharacteristic press conference of his life yesterday down at the owners' meetings. But Rob Saleh spoke yesterday. He was asked many questions about the quarterback situation. I guess the other 13 ranked shows ahead of the 14th ranked show declined his interview, so he went on with the 14th rated show in the afternoons here in New York. And he was asked some questions. And he actually said, when asked about why are you not playing Trevor Siemian, he said, I plead the fifth. You got me. Huh? So is this your decision or is this not your decision to be doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on Zach Wilson? Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
So somebody actually heard him say that.
Apparently, yeah.
Okay, good.
I guess, yeah.
Well, Big Head asked the question. Good for Big Head. It's a good question to ask, and they have a paid spot. Seems like everybody has paid spots these days. Some people want to get paid. Some people want to come on. Some people don't want to come on. You know how this whole thing goes. Yeah, they caught him off guard. There's no question about it. He should have been ready for it. I can't believe that he wouldn't be ready for it, and he knows what's going on. I mean, you know, this is one thing I will say about Rob Saleh. He's very much in tune with what's being said, what's being written. He's very aware, and I'm sure that Joe Beningo is texting his ass off at him and telling him, dump this guy, he sucks. I mean, so I'm sure that he is up to his eyeballs, Rob Saleh is, in criticism of his quarterback and the way that the team is playing offensively. Offensively, they're terrible. I mean, they're just brutal. Every measurable, everything you look at, from scoring, third down, red zone, you name it, they are one of the worst teams in the league. And as I told you yesterday, and as I've told you since the day that we've started working together, in football, it all emanates from the quarterback. It just comes from the quarterback. The confidence, the understanding, the communication, you know, just the energy, everything comes from the quarterback. And when a quarterback is, lost his confidence, when a quarterback doesn't look the part, when the team doesn't respond to him, it's finally caught up to the team that, you know, Aaron Rodgers is not playing and not coming back no matter what he says. I mean, man, he's worse than the White House. He says one thing, and then 2 days later, they got to come back and clean it up because he's making all these declarative statements about his ankle and his Achilles. But this is just it's deja vu. For the Jets, it's 1 year removed. It's the same thing.
But here's where it's different, is that last year they played Mike White when Zach Wilson was terrible. This year, they're not trying anything else. And remember, the first time that we saw Mike White, we had no idea what he was. It was not like people were clamoring for this guy, Mike White, because we had seen him play elsewhere and he was good. We had no idea who he was. So obviously we don't know who Tim Boyle is. We know who Trevor Siemian is. But for Rob Saleh to not elevate, we're not even elevating Trevor Siemian to the active roster, and they're going to toss Zach back out there again. And when he's asked directly about why not give this experienced quarterback a chance over Zach Wilson, he can't answer the question?
Well, he may not have the ability to answer the question. Look, I'm assuming.
Is he being told to play Zach Wilson?
I'm assuming that it's a collaborative effort, and not everybody's always going to be on the same page. But when they do go out into public, people are all going to seem as if they are on the same page. Now, this is a very unique answer by Rob Saleh to Michael Kay. I don't care what anybody says. Very unique. I plead the fifth. That's a strange one, and that doesn't show me that he has a lot of confidence in his quarterback. But, I wouldn't have a lot of confidence in my quarterback again. I don't know how many times we have to go down this road. I've picked them 3 times to have big games, and this is going to be the game where everybody's going to wake up and he's going to be able to, get some things going. And he has just been disappointing and getting more disappointing as the season goes on here. So he knows it. He sees it. He's not a dope. He's been around the NFL for a long time. He's a football player himself. He understands the importance of the position and the player that's occupying that position. So this is a lukewarm endorsement from the head coach. There's no question about that. And I would just say now we all have to speculate. This is what we do in this business. We give our opinions. I don't know if Trevor Siemian would be any better. That's the scary thing, meaning that I know that Zach fumbled the ball 3 times the other night. He lost 2 of them. He's not throwing interceptions, and they are dropping passes. There's no question about that. Allen Lazard had one of his worst games as a pro this past Monday night. I mean, it was atrocious. And, he's part of the problem, and that's what Rob Saleh is talking about from a global perspective, whatever that means. It's not just the quarterback, but I'm here to tell you that, a big part of it is the quarterback and the lack of any sort of rhythm, any sort of confidence, any sort of belief that they can get into the end zone. So it's a really unfortunate situation. They tried to rectify it by bringing in Aaron Rodgers. I told you when they brought in Aaron Rodgers that they were going to keep Zach Wilson because they wanted Zach to watch how a real pro goes about his business. Nobody expected 4 plays into the freaking season that Zach Wilson was going to be the starting quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm really hung up on that whole is Rob Saleh the one making the decision thing. And this is what I want to know. If he's given the answer that he's giving about not playing Trevor Siemian, that means that he at least has had the conversations about maybe we try something else. So then who is it who is got the bigger, better opinion on this that is stopping him from doing it? Now, there's obvious ones out there. You think about Joe Douglas could say, no, we're playing him. But I thought Rob Saleh and Joe Douglas had this tremendous relationship.
They do, by the way.
And I can't see them being so split on this and then Joe Douglas winning out. And then also you would think the owner would have something to do with this, but how could Woody Johnson want to continue to see Zach Wilson play? And then I think, is Aaron Rodgers influencing this in any way, going, you need this kid, he's getting a little bit better, you got to support him. If you bench him, you lose him. Tim Boyle, I know Tim Boyle, he's nice to have in a room, but he can't go out there and play. Trevor Siemian's just the guy. Is Aaron Rodgers having something to do with this as well? Because all they've done is bend over backwards for him since he's gotten here.
All right, so that's a really good question, and I guess I'm a 50-50 on the answer on that. It wouldn't surprise me if he was influencing this decision, but I would also like to think, the other side of me would like to think that the player would keep his nose out of it and let the general manager and the coach and the offensive coordinator figure this out. I mean, look, they're all tied to him right now. I don't think there's going to be a day. I don't know when this day is going to come. It could come 10 years from now.
Yeah.
I could be out of here living on a beach somewhere. Goodbye. See ya. See ya. Mm-hmm. You're basic. The deal is that I would just – there's going to be a book written about this era of Jet football under Zach Wilson and who wanted him, who didn't want him. And the more losing that happens, the more relationships get frayed in the front office. Mm-hmm. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So kind of like what happened to the Giants 2 years ago. Daniel Jones gets hurt. Aaron, what's his name? Joe Judge is asking for quarterback sneaks on 3rd down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
3rd down and long, by the way. Doesn't want his quarterback throwing the football. I mean, and this is what happens when teams start losing and the pressure starts mounting and the fans get involved and the radio stations get involved and social media gets involved. So it's going to be a real test, I think, of the relationship between Joe Douglas, Woody Johnson, and Rob Saleh. Those three guys are going to have to come to some sort of a real strong agreement about what's in the best interest of their team, because their players are going to start questioning the wisdom of going through this again.
So that's exactly the next thing I was going to say. I can't imagine Rob Saleh, Joe Douglas, and if Woody Johnson is involved or Aaron Rodgers, let's just say all of them are involved, listening to Garrett Wilson say what he said after the game on Sunday, looking back last year to see the reaction of the team when Mike White was playing well, and everybody sitting around going, we got to stick with Zach. Because anybody who's been around football, has paid attention to football, understands how close this is to completely crumbling because the defense has had it, and then guys on the offense are going to have it too because they were going to say, hell, we could be so much better with competent quarterback play. And you're telling me the leaders in this organization aren't feeling that? I could feel it. You could feel it. Every Jet fan could feel it. You're telling me the guys that are running this thing aren't feeling it?
No, they feel it. They definitely feel it.
So then why not try something else? I mean, it's banging your head against the wall time and time again. And I just thought, and I said it yesterday, this is how you know they'll be close to doing something with Zach, meaning maybe benching him, is if they elevate Trevor Siemian to the backup. Then I could see if Zach has a terrible first half, maybe Siemian comes in the second half. They're not even doing that.
I kind of feel like, these two games, the Charger game and the Raider game, because of what's coming up on their schedule, were games that they have to win. And if you would have talked about this like 3 weeks ago, you would have said or penciled in win, because of where both of these teams were.
Oh, hell, they beat the Eagles for crying out loud.
They beat the Eagles. They took the Chiefs all the way to the end of the game. They beat the Bills when the Bills, opening the season with all the hoopla surrounding the Bills. I mean, they beat some good teams. I don't think they beat those good teams because the offense did it. I think they beat those good teams because the defense did it. And defense did it again on Monday night. And these freaking fumbles and these great field position for the opposing offense. And they hold Justin Herbert to 136 yards passing and about 50% completion.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. I mean, so that's half of your team is doing its job. Now, the special team screwed up by letting a punt return be returned for a touchdown. But still, I mean, I've been in locker rooms like this, G. Believe me, I've been in a locker room where the offense was the stud and the defense was giving up too many points. And the offensive players like, what the hell? Can they just stop them once? Yeah. And then I've been in other locker rooms where our offense stunk and our defense was good. And the defensive guys are like, can you guys at least score 10 points?
Yeah.
So the human nature of it all is what's really fascinating because you have players, you have coaches, you have front office people over there, you have the ownership group. And here's the other thing about the ownership group. The ownership has, probably their group of friends that don't have anything to do with the Jets, but love the Jets because they're tight with Woody and Christopher and things of that nature. They see it. So what do you think they're telling the owners?
Oh, of course. I mean,
this offense sucks. What are you doing with this kid?
Right, exactly. You're going to go down with this. This is pathetic. I can just sit there and watch this. And the way you felt about the Giants going out to play Vegas this past week, they can't lose this game. They can't lose this game. They can't lose this game. And they ended up losing the game, and obviously Daniel Jones went down, is the exact same way that everybody should feel about the Jets because they are 4-4. They still have an opportunity to get into the playoffs and salvage something out of this season. If they lose to the Raiders with the Bills and Dolphins coming up next, 4-3, which they were before the Charger game, becomes 4-7 and season over real quick. That's how important this one is. This game is the pivot point, the pressure point.
Oh, yeah.
This is the fork in the road spot.
Fork in the road spot.
Whatever you want to say, this is it. Because if they win, then they get some momentum. Maybe they pick off one of the two AFC East teams after that. If they lose this one and Zach plays poorly again, you're looking at the Bills who want to knock your heads off after week one, and a Dolphins team that if they're able to score anyway, anyhow, the Jets won't be able to keep up with them. I mean, then it's the same thing as last year. You were 7-4 and you completely fell apart. This will be your 4-3 and you completely fell apart.
No, the amazing thing is they go away now for 2 weeks. Week 10, week 11, they're away, of course, at the Raiders and the Bills. And then they have 3 straight home games. And one of those home games actually is against the Texans. And you're going to see a real quarterback come in this building as a rookie. And it'll be interesting to see how CJ Stroud plays against this defense in Week 13.
Yeah, that would be fascinating. And CJ Stroud had, of course, an amazing game this past week. I don't think he's going to do that every single week.
I watched this tape of his game yesterday.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Man, is he good. Now, the week before he didn't play so well against the Carolina Panthers. But this past weekend, oh, man, that guy is something special.
Yeah, I mean, and it's really the first Ohio State quarterback you have felt like this about in forever.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Justin Fields had a couple of games last year where he was running around, but nothing like this.
You should see some of these throws that he made, and a couple of these throws he made to Tank Dell, their rookie wide receiver. I mean, this is what every team hopes for. This is where they found gold in the, in the draft.
Yeah.
They found it, and they were lucky that, they were able to have him as the second pick overall.
You know who else was the second pick overall?
I know.
Zach Wilson.
And sometimes you find it and sometimes you don't.
Boomer.
This kid just looks like CJ Stroud just looks in the pocket like, hey, I got this.
Yep, that's right. All right, Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. Jerry's got a ton of audio for us from yesterday, a very busy day in New York sports. We'll get right to it.